All right. Welcome to Yoga Box Box.
Thank you.
I'm Helen Rebel. This is Reema Datta. Reema's been teaching at Yoga Box this week. It's been totally amazing. I'm going to talk to Reema a little bit about a part of her lineage which is a bit unusual, which is your lady yoginis. So what's the history behind these ladies?
The ladies, yeah. Well, I grew up with some yoga, so I learned from my grandparents, and my grandmothers are both yoginis. They focus on different aspects of the practice, like the mantra, the songs, and the rituals, and that kind of thing. And then I got lucky about 10 years ago. I started working with some Tibetan yogis, and they introduced me to this lineage of yoginis, or dakinis, they call them. And there's one teacher in particular named Naguma, and she's said to be the spiritual partner of Naropa. So a lot of people know Naropa and his teachings, but they don't know that he had this partner Naguma, and it's actually it's a debate. Like maybe Naguma was actually Naropa's teacher, you know?
Hey.
So we're starting. There's actually a lot of research that's been done in the last few years, and it's still being done about Naguma's teachings. And there are quite a lot of her teachings that we know about. But one thing that she does that is very fascinating to me is she looks at the wind. So we talk about prana, and we breathe prana in and out. But when prana comes into the body, it takes 5 different directions. You know, the 5 values. But what Naguma's teachings reveal is that our thoughts and our emotions are connected to the values. So if I'm feeling angry or frustrated or annoyed, then the winds behind my heart get knotted up. So there's certain meditations and types of movement we can do to open this area. Or if I feel jealous, then the winds at my belly, samana vayu, gets knotted up. So then if we have that awareness, then there's certain types of movement, like especially twists, we can do to loosen knots in this area. If we feel like lonely or isolated or doubtful, then the winds at the pelvic area that move down the legs, they start to get obstructed. So she had this like beautiful way of doing yoga, just awareness, like what am I facing right now within myself, and then when I'm in touch with my emotions and my thoughts, then I can design a practice to work with them, you know, and not to just like brush them away and ignore them, but to actually meet my anger, meet my frustration, meet my jealousy, to really look at them, but in the same way also learn how to, you know, soften out of them. So it's quite fascinating to me. So I've been bringing those teachings into the asana.
And if you wanted to start working, so just briefly tell us a little bit more about the vayus for those who don't know.
So the vayus, so when prana enters the body, it can take one of 5 directions. And when prana enters the body and starts to take a shape, that's called a vayu, or a wind. It's our inner winds. So there's 5 directions. So one is called udana vayu. It's at the throat. It's an upward moving wind. And it affects our thyroid gland, our parathyroid gland, our growth, our metabolism. And it gets obstructed whenever we feel some kind of attachment, or you know, it's like some kind of grasping or addiction. The winds at the throat get blocked. And then there is apana vayu, and that starts at the sexual organs and moves down. It's a downward moving wind down to the toes, and that deals with our elimination. You know, childbirth. We need a lot of apana vayu for that. If we start to feel isolated or separate or doubtful, then those winds start to get knotted up. Then there's samana vayu that moves from side to side at the belly, and that deals with our digestion. So when we feel like some kind of loss of willpower, it's related to our chakras too. We give in to bad habits, we get jealous, things like that, then these winds get knotted up. And then there's prana vayu that circles around the heart and moves down the arms into the fingers. If we feel angry, like anger towards ourselves or somebody else, these winds get knotted up. And so then we do, you know, practices to cultivate understanding and compassion, to open the heart, back bends. So those are and then there's Vyana Vayu, which is the all-pervasive wind. It moves all across the body. It affects the skin, the joints of the body. And when we feel like overwhelming anxiety or depression, then the Viana Vayu can get stirred up.
And this is quite subtle working on this level. So what's the best way to start to move from a more gross practice, if you like, to a more subtle practice to start? Is it possible to really feel this stuff in a tangible way, or is it very subtle?
Yeah, you know, the subtle body is so tricky because it's invisible. You know? So, I mean, prana is nice because we can feel. It's like, we can feel it, you know? There's the 3 side channels. That's actually, sometimes I start with these 3 side channels and then go to the vayus. And all of this, we can feel it, but it takes time to get the mind to be so quiet and settle, to actually feel the inner channels and the inner winds. But I find personally it's a little easier to start feeling the 3 channels, the 3 main channels. And then it took me a while, it took me actually some years to actually start to feel those 5 winds. But even the 3 channels, you know, when we do Nadi Shodan, we're working those side channels. But even just the 3 channels is also affected. The way Niguma taught how the emotions are connected to the 3 channels. So there's the sun channel and the moon channel. And I have to say I was amazed yesterday with the eclipse because we were sitting right in the center of the sun and the moon. I was like, and on one hand, like if you look at the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, the Hatha Yoga is the yoga of the sun and the moon. It's all about the side channels. You know, the right channel is the sun channel. It's like it's given the color red. It's like affiliated with like more masculine energy. And it's the sun. The left channel is the moon channel, which is like how we were yesterday. So the moon channel is like a milky white color. It's called Ida. It's a more feminine energy. And so on a subtle body level with the emotions, like we have there's so many emotions and thought patterns, but they actually say there's 2 main ones. There's attachment and anger. Those are the big ones. And everything comes from attachment and anger. So the sun channel, the masculine channel, that's affiliated with anger. And the 3 channels are meant to be, like the side channels are meant to stay on the sides. But we see these things in yoga with the crisscross, you know? Yeah. So what's happening is when we feel anger, that right channel is pushing into the central channel and it's creating like a block. Because we want prana to move through the central channel. But if I feel angry or if I'm too much on my right side, then the right channel starts pushing. Now if I'm also feeling attachment and grasping, then my left channel is going to start pushing into my central channel. And if they both are pushing in, I'm going to be like this, like knots, you know, all along the central channel. And so from a subtle body perspective, what we're trying to do is loosen the knots along the central channel. We're trying to get a hold of our anger and of our attachments and come to a more like centered place. You know, not so hot, not so cold, just like balanced, centered. The central channel is considered androgynous. And it's also called the bliss channel, the wisdom channel. So that's what we're doing on a subtle body perspective, trying to get the channels to uncross, stay on the sides. And then when prana enters the central channel, then they say, it's very beautiful. It's the central channel is Sushumna Nadi. So Sushumna means a very good hymn, a very good song. So when prana is entered and can move up the central channel, then we start to hear our song, you know, our song that we were born with, you know, our gifts that we were born to give, or songs as in like whatever wisdom we're meant to hear in the moment, like we can hear it from the inside out. So that's what I love about the female lineage, is they really focus on the subtle body, and it's very poetic and beautiful, and with practice, as the mind calms, you can start to feel those 3 channels, and after some time you can feel the winds. So it's been really helpful to me to work that way because I have been very afflicted with anger and attachment and all of those emotions. So I actually started really practicing the sleep about like 7 years ago because I was in a very difficult place in my life and I was feeling a lot of anger and a lot of attachment and a lot of jealousy, a lot of anxiety, everything. And I had learned these practices over 10 years ago. But it's when I really needed them and I practiced and I realized, wow, this works, because it really helped me to to move past those emotions. You know, those kinds of emotions are so sticky, and when life is hard, it's hard. You know, so to practice yoga with that kind of awareness, and to really let myself look at those emotions without judging myself, it really helped me get to the other side. You know, so that's why I still practice and try to pass those on.
You can, and it can make huge changes.
Yeah. And it takes time. Like for me, I would just take one emotion, and just work on that for like weeks, you know, and then I'd feel a shift. Then I'm like, okay, I shifted my anger a bit. Now I'm going to work with my attachments. And I'll just work with that emotion for weeks.
And would you sit in meditation and watch the emotions, or think about them, or just work with them on a physical level? Or
well, that's the beauty of these practices, is that you can do them in a seated meditation as well as a moving meditation.
so how would you approach it if you were going to start to look at, say, anger, for example?
Right, sure. So the first thing is to, you know, look to observe ourselves without judgment, to really just like let the anger surface, and to let ourselves look at it and be with it. Just like not even try to transform or change or shift, but just be with it, and recognize that every emotion has a message. Every emotion has a value to it. So I like to sit with it and move with it. If I'm working with anger, I do a lot of shoulder openers, back bends, even arm balances. You'll notice when you press one hand down, one hand up, it starts to open up the heart. So arm balances and back bends are both good for opening this area. And then once you're with it for a while, then you can work with certain meditations to, like with anger, we say it's so easy to say you're angry at somebody. It's so easy to kind of, you know, judge that person, like, oh, they're so this and they're so that, and then the heart, you know, this we get knotted up.
When you're working on anger, and like unfortunately you feel anger towards a certain person, for example, then what's the best way to deal?
One, first is to be with it, and just let yourself feel the anger, not to push it away, not to judge it, but just really breathe into it, move into it, and recognize that there is a message. Anger tells us what's important to us, you know, and it's such a strong energy. We have to like really let ourselves be with what the message is. And then if it's sticky and it's not really shifting, then we can continue to work with it. I like to work with it through movement. I'll start doing arm balances to get this area open, back bends to open up this area. And while I'm doing the asana, you can go into a meditation and just notice that we all have this human tendency. If I'm angry at somebody, usually we're angry at someone because they've hurt us, right? They've done something tough and we feel bad. And so we're like, why did you do that? How could you say that? And we think there's like something so wrong with that person. And as we kind of judge them, then knots start to accumulate behind the heart. So as a yogi, we turn everything upside down. And we're like, oh, they did this thing that's hurtful. You know, they did this thing that made me angry or annoyed me. Like, what must they be going through? You know, we start to open our hearts and like, what is their pain? What is their suffering? What do they need? And everything starts to kind of soften and shift. But to meditate like that while you're doing asana, it's like you're getting it, you know, from the inside out and the outside in. And if you work your mind and the body simultaneously, it can really loosen knots, you know. So we never want to suppress our pain, because that's very dangerous. But we just want to like open the heart and create room for understanding, for patience, for just understanding what was their situation when they did the thing that made me angry. You know? So that's one way we could work with it.
Reema, thank you so much. If you ever get a chance to do any yoga with Reema, totally jump on it. She's amazing. The spaces that she opens up are just, it's beautiful. It's really, really great. It's quite amazing. Okay, thank you, Reema.
Thank you for having me.
No, you're very welcome.
Really honored.
Totally nice. Alrighty. That's
Namaste.
it. Namaste. That's it from Yoga Rocks today. Thank you.